In the cold outer rim of the galaxy, far from any sun, there floated a lonely space station named Haven 9. It was not beautiful or grand, just a cluster of metal rings and humming engines drifting through the dark. But for Captain Aaron Hale, it was home. Aaron was one of the few humans who chose to live among aliens. He had fought in the Earth Defense Wars years ago, and when peace came, he moved to Haven 9 to escape memories he didn't want to remember. He now ran a small restaurant, the Starlight Grill, famous among travelers for its warm food and quiet atmosphere. His cook was an alien named Rin, a fragile creature from the planet Tavar. Rin had pale green skin, long fingers, and soft silver eyes that reflected every emotion. He didn't speak much, but he cooked like no one else in the sector. Travelers came from light years away just to taste his spiced broth and roasted synth meat. One quiet night, while closing the restaurant, Aaron noticed something strange. Rin was washing dishes, his movement slower than usual. The light above flickered, and Aaron saw dark marks under Rin's thin skin, bruises along his arms and neck. Aaron frowned. "Rin, what happened to you?" The alien froze. His forefingers tightened on the metal pan. "Nothing, Captain, just..." "Accident." Aaron walked closer. "That doesn't look like an accident. Who did this to you?" Rin's eyes darted toward the door, toward the shadows outside. Then he whispered, "Please, Captain, don't ask. They will hear." Aaron's gut tightened. "Who will hear?" But Rin didn't answer. He just bowed his head and continued cleaning, trembling slightly. That night, Aaron couldn't sleep. He lay on his narrow bunk, staring at the ceiling while the hum of the station filled the silence. The image of those bruises burned in his mind. He had seen marks like that before, during the war on prisoners. It meant someone was being hurt. Controlled. He decided to check the station's security logs. Haven 9 had old, flickering cameras in the lower levels where Rin lived. When Aaron accessed the feed, he saw a dark figure entering Rin's quarters 2 nights ago. The shape was tall, wearing a black armor suit with glowing symbols, galactic enforcement markings. Aaron's jaw tightened. Galactic enforcement was supposed to protect the weak, not harm them. What was one of their officers doing attacking his cook? He replayed the footage again and again. The armored figure grabbed Rin, shouted something, and then slammed him against the wall before leaving. Aaron couldn't hear the words, the audio was broken, but he saw Rin collapse afterward, alone and shaking. Something inside Aaron snapped. He had promised himself he would never fight again. Never get involved. But he couldn't sit by while someone beat an innocent worker under his roof. The next morning, Aaron found Rin preparing breakfast as if nothing happened. "Rin," Aaron said softly, "I saw the camera feed." The alien froze. His silver eyes widened, then filled with tears. "Please, Captain, you do not understand. They said if I speak, they will take me back." "Take you back where?" Rin hesitated. "To the colonial labor rings. Tavar people are not free there. We belong to them. I escaped." Aaron's chest went cold. The galactic law banned slavery years ago, but he knew too well that powerful groups ignored the law when it suited them. "Who is they, Rin?" Aaron asked. "The council enforcers," Rin whispered. "They say I am stolen property. They found me. They come to take me. Soon." Aaron looked around the quiet kitchen. The smell of soup, the clatter of pots, the soft hum of machines, and he realized his small, peaceful life was about to shatter. "Rin," he said, voice steady. "They're not taking you. Not while I'm alive." The alien's eyes widened with shock. "Captain, please, you cannot fight them. They are the law." Aaron gave a bitter smile. "Then maybe the law needs to be reminded what humanity looks like." Outside, the deep black of space stared back, silent, endless, and cold. But inside Haven 9, something dangerous had begun to stir. The human who once vowed never to fight again was about to defy the entire galaxy. The next day on Haven 9, everything looked calm, but it was the kind of calm that comes before a storm. The restaurant, the Starlight Grill, smelled of fried spices and alien herbs. The regulars laughed, unaware that danger was already on its way. Captain Aaron Hale served customers with his usual polite smile, but inside, he was on edge. He kept glancing at the door, expecting armored boots to walk through at any moment. Rin, the alien cook, moved quietly behind the kitchen counter. His thin arms shook as he stirred a pot. He had barely slept. Every noise made him flinch. Aaron noticed. "Relax, Rin," Aaron said gently. "You're safe here." Rin looked up with tired eyes. "No one is safe from them, Captain." "Not even you," Aaron forced a small smile. "We'll see about that." That night, Haven 9's outer alarms echoed across the metal corridors. A low siren howled through the air, a sound everyone feared. Aaron ran to the control room and looked at the monitors. 3 black ships had arrived outside the station. No cargo lights, no ID beacons. Just black, sharp designs, council enforcement vessels. Aaron felt his stomach twist. They had come for Rin. Within minutes, the ships docked. 6 armored soldiers stepped out. Their armor gleamed with silver emblems of the Galactic Council. Each one carried plasma rifles and walked like they owned the place. At the front was Commander Voss, tall, sharp-faced, and cruel-looking. His voice was cold and metallic when he spoke through the comms. "This is an official operation under Article 74. We are here for one fugitive, a Tovar subject named Rin. Anyone interfering will be punished under galactic law." Aaron clenched his jaw. Not happening. He cut the comms and turned toward the kitchen. Rin stood there shaking, a metal spoon still in his hand. "They've come," Rin whispered. Aaron nodded. "You have somewhere to hide?" Rin shook his head. "They will search everywhere." Aaron looked around the kitchen. The steam vents, the food storage units, the cold locker. Then his eyes fell on the old supply shaft behind the oven. "Get in there," he said. "Now," Rin hesitated. "Captain, if they find you helping me, they will kill you." Aaron smiled faintly. "I've been close to death before. Go." Rin crawled into the shaft and Aaron sealed it shut with a hidden latch. Then he turned off the lights, grabbed his plasma pistol, and waited. The heavy boots echoed down the corridor. Thud. Thud, thud. The metal door slid open with a hiss. Commander Voss entered with 2 soldiers. His eyes scanned the room. "Captain Hale," he said. "We know the fugitive works here. Hand him over." Aaron crossed his arms. "You got a warrant?" Voss smiled darkly. "The council doesn't need warrants for property." Aaron's fists tightened. "He's not property. He's a person." Voss took a step closer, armor clinking. "You humans always think you can decide what is right and wrong. But this station follows galactic law, not Earth morals. The Tovar are owned by the council. You are sheltering stolen goods." Aaron stared him down. "Then maybe the law is broken." For a moment, silence filled the room. The soldiers' weapons hummed softly, ready to fire. Voss's smile vanished. "Search the place." The soldiers began tearing through the kitchen, overturning pans, smashing crates, scanning walls. One of them moved toward the oven. Aaron's heart pounded. He needed a distraction, fast. He grabbed a hot skillet and threw it across the room. It hit a shelf of bottles, exploding into fire and smoke. The soldiers shouted, turning their guns toward the flames. Aaron dove behind the counter, fired 2 quick shots. One soldier's armor sparked, and he fell. The other ducked, returning fire. Energy bolts sizzled through the air, lighting up the dark kitchen. Voss shouted, "Don't stop him alive! The council wants answers." Aaron rolled to the side, hit the emergency lockdown switch. Steel shutters slammed down over the doors, trapping everyone inside. Smoke filled the room. Sparks rained down. Aaron could hear his heart pounding louder than the gunfire. He ducked behind a counter, reloaded, and waited for Voss's voice. "You're making a mistake, Captain Hale," Voss shouted through the smoke. "You think you're saving him?" "You're declaring war on the council." Aaron gritted his teeth. "Then maybe it's time someone did." He fired again. The lights flickered, alarms screamed, and the Starlight Grill, once a quiet little restaurant, had become a battlefield. Outside, the black ships circled Haven 9 like predators. Inside, fire and smoke hid the truth, that one human had chosen to stand against an empire. And deep inside the supply shaft, Rin covered his mouth, trembling, as he heard the chaos outside. His silver eyes glowed faintly in the dark. He whispered something in his alien tongue, a prayer or maybe a promise. Whatever it was, the stars would soon remember it, because this was no longer about one cook. It was the beginning of a rebellion. The kitchen of the Starlight Grill was no longer a place of peace. Flames licked the walls, smoke curled through the air, and the sharp smell of burnt oil filled every breath. The fire alarm screamed, mixing with the sound of plasma shots bouncing off metal. Captain Aaron Hale crouched behind a fallen table, clutching his blaster. His pulse raced. Every instinct told him to run, but he couldn't. Rin was still hiding below, trapped inside the narrow supply shaft. Outside, Commander Voss shouted orders through the haze. Seal every exit. The fugitive is still here. The soldiers spread out, their armor glowing faint blue through the smoke. One of them spotted Aaron's movement and fired. The plasma bolt hit a pot above him, spraying molten metal. Aaron rolled aside just in time. He took aim and fired back. The soldier dropped with a thud. Two more advanced, their boots crunching on broken glass. Aaron hit the emergency sprinkler switch. Water burst from the ceiling, hissing as it touched the flames, turning the kitchen into a fog of steam. In the confusion, Aaron crawled to the hidden latch behind the oven. He whispered, "Rin, you there?" A faint voice replied from inside the shaft. "Captain." "I can't breathe. It's getting hot." Aaron gritted his teeth. "Hang on, I'll get you out." He slammed his fist against the control panel, opening the back maintenance tunnel. It led straight to the outer docking bay, a possible escape route. But reaching it meant crossing open ground. He took a deep breath, opened the shaft door, and helped Rin out. The alien's skin shimmered with sweat and his hands trembled. "Follow me," Aaron said. "Stay low." Rin nodded, clutching his small bag of cooking tools, the only things he owned. Together they slipped into the tunnel, just as Voss and his soldiers stormed the burning kitchen. The maintenance tunnel was narrow and dark. Steam hissed from leaking pipes and the floor trembled with the vibration of the engines. Aaron's boots echoed softly as he led the way, checking corners with his blaster raised. "Captain," Rin whispered, "why are you helping me?" "I'm only your cook." Aaron didn't look back. "Because I've seen what happens when good people do nothing. I won't let it happen again." There was a pause. Then Rin said quietly, "You lost someone." "Didn't you?" Aaron's steps slowed. "Yeah, during the war, someone who believed we could build a better galaxy." He didn't say more and Rin didn't ask. They reached a junction where the tunnel split into two paths. Aaron checked his wrist scanner. "Left leads to the waste chute, right to Dock Bay 4. We'll take the right." But just as they turned, a loud metallic clang echoed behind them. Red light filled the tunnel. "Motion sensors. They've found us," Aaron muttered. Within seconds, the hum of boots filled the corridor. Blue lights flashed ahead. Voss's voice boomed through the speakers. "Captain Hale, you can't win this. Hand over the fugitive and maybe we'll let you live." Aaron smirked bitterly. "I've heard that line before." He grabbed a plasma grenade from his belt, pressed the timer and rolled it down the tunnel. "Cover your ears," he whispered. The explosion tore through the corridor, shaking the walls. Smoke and sparks burst in every direction. Aaron and Rin ran. Their footsteps echoed as alarms blared across Haven 9. They reached Dock Bay 4, a massive chamber filled with loading cranes, storage crates, and old ships. The docking lights flickered red. "There," Aaron pointed to a small rusted transport shuttle in the corner. "We can take that." They sprinted across the bay, but before they could reach it, the heavy blast door at the entrance opened. Voss stepped through, surrounded by soldiers. His armor was scorched from the fire, his expression furious. "End of the line, Captain." Aaron raised his blaster. "You're standing between me and dinner time. Move." Voss sneered. "You think one human can fight the Council?" Aaron smiled. "No, but one human can make them afraid." He fired. The plasma bolt hit the control tower above, causing a power surge. Lights burst, machinery sparked, and gravity flickered. For a moment, everything floated, crates, tools, even the soldiers. Aaron and Rin drifted toward the shuttle. Aaron grabbed a pipe, pulled himself forward, and slammed the hatch open. He pushed Rin inside, then climbed in after him. "Strap in." The engines roared to life, sputtering from years of disuse. The shuttle shook violently as it lifted off. Voss fired from below, but the energy bolts missed, grazing the hull. The ship shot out of the docking bay just as the main fuel line exploded behind them. Haven 9 vanished in a ball of fire and debris. Inside the cockpit, Aaron coughed through the smoke. His hands trembled on the controls. "You okay?" Rin nodded weakly. "Yes." "But Haven 9, it's gone." Aaron's jaw tightened. It was never the station that mattered. It's the people who survive it. Rin looked at him, eyes wide with something between fear and admiration. "They'll chase us, Captain." Aaron nodded slowly. "Let them try." He pushed the thrusters forward. The stars stretched into lines as the ship jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, the wreckage of Haven 9 floated quietly, a symbol of rebellion born from a single act of compassion. And somewhere, Deep within the Council's network, alarms began to sound. A human had just declared war on their injustice. The stars stretched endlessly around the small, damaged shuttle as it drifted through deep space. The hum of the engine was uneven, like a tired heartbeat. Captain Aaron Hale sat in the pilot's seat, his eyes heavy but alert. His hands were blackened with grease and sweat rolled down his neck. Beside him, Rin sat quietly wrapped in a silver blanket. His green skin looked pale under the flickering cabin light. He kept staring at his trembling hands, the same hands that once cooked meals with care, now shaking from fear. The silence between them was thick until Aaron finally spoke. "Fuel's running low. We can't jump again. We'll have to find a safe place to land." Rin looked up, his voice weak. "There's no safe place for me anymore, Captain." Aaron gave a small smile. "Then we'll make one." The broadcast hours later, as the shuttle floated near the border of the Orion trade zone, the radio crackled. A deep official voice filled the cabin. "Attention all vessels. By order of the Galactic Council, Captain Aaron Hale of Haven 9 is declared a traitor to intergalactic law. He is charged with destruction of Council property and aiding a fugitive alien. A reward of 500,000 credits for his capture, dead or alive." Rin's eyes widened. "They are calling you a criminal." Aaron smirked bitterly. "That's how you know you're doing something right." The voice continued. "The fugitive, Rin of Tovar, is to be considered extremely dangerous. All bounty hunters are authorized to engage." Rin flinched. "Dangerous? I can't even hold a weapon." Aaron's smile faded. He switched off the radio. "They don't care about truth, Rin. They care about control. The Council doesn't want others to see that one human stood up for a slave. They're afraid of the idea of freedom spreading." Rin looked down. "Then what will you do now?" Aaron leaned back. "First survive. Then we make them regret ever touching you." The bounty hunters, the next few days were tense. Aaron managed to land the shuttle on an asteroid outpost, a broken trade hub where smugglers and wanderers lived. The place smelled of oil, metal, and secrets. He traded his old war medals for fuel and supplies, but he could feel eyes on him everywhere he went. Posters of his face were already pinned across the station walls. One night, as they hid in a maintenance hangar, Aaron noticed a shadow moving outside their ship. He raised his blaster quietly and stepped out. A tall figure in a dark cloak stood there, helmet glowing with red sensors. The voice that came from it was calm but dangerous. "You're a hard man to find, Captain Hale." Aaron aimed his blaster. "Then maybe you should have stopped looking," the stranger chuckled. "Relax, if I wanted the bounty, you'd already be dead. Name's Cale Vorn, ex-bounty hunter. I don't work for the Council anymore." Aaron narrowed his eyes. "Then why are you here?" Cale tossed a small data chip at him. "Because I saw what they did on the news feeds. They burned Haven 9 to ash. You're not the only one they've hurt. There are others, humans, aliens, even droids, who've had enough of the Council's lies." Rin stepped out from behind the ship, hesitant. You mean people are fighting back?" Cale nodded. "A small group. They call themselves the Free Systems Movement. They're gathering at a hidden base on Eris Prime. They could use a pilot like you." Aaron caught the chip. "Sounds like trouble." Kyle smirked. "It's not trouble, Captain. It's a chance." A new choice later, inside the ship, Rin watched Aaron sit silently in the cockpit, the stars glimmering through the window. The data chip rested on the console, glowing faint blue. "Captain," Rin said softly, "if we go there, they'll hunt us harder. Maybe we should keep running." Aaron looked at him. "You've been running your whole life, haven't you?" Rin nodded. Aaron leaned forward. "Then let's stop. Let's stand for something. They call me a traitor, but maybe being a traitor to tyranny isn't a bad thing." Rin looked at him uncertain, but there was hope in his silver eyes for the first time. "You'd fight for aliens like me?" Aaron smiled gently. "No, Rin, I'd fight with you." He pressed the chip into the console. Coordinates flashed across the screen. Eris Prime, Free Systems Outpost 47. The engines roared to life again, the old shuttle trembling as if it shared their determination. The journey begins as they jumped into hyperspace. Rin stared at the stars stretching into white lines. He whispered, "They said Tovar people had no voice in the galaxy." Maybe they were wrong. Aaron looked at him. "Every great change starts with one voice, men, and one good meal." Rin laughed softly, the first real laugh since Haven 9 burned, but as they disappeared into the dark void, Far behind them, Commander Voss stood in the ruins of the asteroid station. Holding a tracker in his hand, he smirked. "Run, Captain Hale, run as far as you can." "The galaxy is smaller than you think," he pressed a button. A signal blinked across the network, and hundreds of bounty ships lit up with the same target. Locate and capture Aaron Hale. Priority Alpha. The hunt had begun, and somewhere between the stars, the first sparks of rebellion were about to ignite. The stars swirled into focus as the small shuttle dropped out of hyperspace. The engines hummed weakly, smoke rising from the side panels, but they had made it. Before them hung a dark, frozen world, Eris Prime. The planet looked dead from space, covered in black ice and storms that glowed faintly with electric light. But somewhere below, hidden beneath the storms, was hope. Aaron Hale adjusted the shuttle's course, his tired eyes scanning for the signal Cale had given him. "Coordinates match," he muttered. "Now let's see if this rebel base actually exists." Rin sat beside him, clutching a small thermal blanket around his shoulders. His silver eyes reflected the storm lights outside. "This place? It feels haunted." Aaron gave a half smile. "Good. That means the Council won't come looking here." As they descended, the wind roared against the hull. Lightning cracked across the sky like claws. The shuttle shook violently, alarms flashing red. Rin grabbed the edge of the console. "We're falling!" "Not yet," Aaron said through gritted teeth. He pulled the manual lever, forcing the engines to stabilize. The shuttle groaned as it pushed through the storm clouds. Then suddenly everything went still. They broke through the clouds into silence. Below them was a hidden valley, dark and shielded from scanners by an energy field. And in the middle of that valley stood a small city built inside the ice. Lights glimmered from tunnels and domes below, like stars trapped underground. Aaron exhaled slowly. There it is, the Free Systems outpost. The ship landed roughly on a frozen platform. The moment the engines shut down, a group of armed figures surrounded the shuttle. They wore mixed armor, scavenged from different worlds. Their leader, a woman with gray hair and sharp green eyes, stepped forward. "You're a long way from safe space, human," she said. "Name and purpose." Aaron raised his hands calmly. "Captain Aaron Hale. I was told to come here by Cale Vorn." The woman's expression softened slightly. "Cale's alive? That's a surprise." She signaled to her soldiers. "Stand down. Bring them in." Rin hesitated as they entered the underground base. The air was warmer but filled with the scent of oil and machinery. Aliens of all shapes worked beside humans. Engineers, doctors, refugees. Some looked scared, others angry, but all carried the same look of determination. Aaron watched them closely. "Looks like the galaxy's misfits finally found a family." The gray-haired woman turned to him. "We prefer the term survivors. I'm Commander Lyra, leader of the Free Systems. Cale said you might come." They entered a large command hall. Screens showed images of planets, trade routes, and Council military bases. Lyra pointed to one of the maps. "The Council has been using slave labor across the outer systems. Tavar Nireen, even some humans. But it's worse than that." She pressed a button. A hologram appeared, showing an alien body covered in strange implants. "They're experimenting," she said grimly. "Testing how to merge alien biology with weapon tech, turning slaves into living machines." Rin stepped forward, trembling. "That's what they wanted from me." Aaron turned sharply. "What do you mean?" Rin's voice cracked. "Before I escaped, they took some of my people. They said Tavar blood can survive high radiation. They wanted to use us for warships, living fuel sources." Lyra nodded. "And now that you're free, the Council wants you silenced. They can't risk the truth getting out." Aaron's jaw tightened. "Then we expose them." Lyra gave a tired smile. "That's exactly what we're trying to do. But we're few. The Council controls every channel, every planet." Aaron leaned on the table, eyes burning with resolve. "Then we don't go through them. We go around them. Broadcast the truth ourselves. Every outpost, every ship, every back alley trader. We show the galaxy what they've done." Lyra studied him. "You sound like a man who's already made his choice." Aaron met her gaze. "I made it the day they hurt my friend." Rin looked at him, stunned. You call me your friend?" Aaron smiled softly. "You've earned it." For the first time, Rin's eyes filled with something other than fear, hope. Lyra stepped closer. "If you're serious, Captain, we'll need your help. There's an old relay tower on the moon Vaster 3. If we can reach it, we can send a message across half the galaxy. Aaron nodded. Then that's our next move. Before anyone could speak, an alarm suddenly echoed through the base. Red lights flashed. A voice shouted from the comms. Multiple ships approaching. Council signature confirmed. Rin froze. They found us. Aaron drew his blaster, eyes narrowing. Then we fight, Lyra gave a grim smile. Welcome to the rebellion, Captain. The ground trembled as the first explosions shook the outer tunnels. The hidden base, their fragile hope, was under siege. Smoke filled the corridors as soldiers rushed to their stations. And in the chaos, Aaron turned to Rin. You wanted freedom, right? Rin nodded shakily. Then this is where it begins. Outside, in the stormy sky of Eris Prime, Council ships descended like dark angels. But this time, the galaxy's forgotten were ready to fight back. The rebellion had found its voice, and the human who once just wanted peace had become its spark. The ground shook beneath their feet as explosions ripped through the icy caverns of Eris Prime. The alarms wailed through the tunnels like screams of metal. Steam hissed from broken pipes, and the air was thick with smoke and panic. Captain Aaron Hale raced through the corridor, blaster in hand, shouting orders. Seal the lower gates. Keep the civilians back. His voice was rough but steady. Behind him, Rin struggled to keep up, clutching a small energy pack against his chest. Captain, Rin cried. They've breached the outer tunnels. Aaron cursed under his breath. Then we make them pay for every inch. Council troops were pouring in, armored soldiers with black visors and glowing blue rifles. The sound of plasma fire echoed through the ice halls as rebel fighters took their positions. The once quiet underground city was now a war zone. Commander Lyra appeared from the smoke, her face streaked with dirt. They've jammed our comms, she said. We can't contact the outposts. Aaron's eyes darted toward the control chamber above. Then we take back the tower and fix it ourselves. Lyra nodded grimly. I'll hold the south tunnel. You get that relay online? Aaron looked to Rin. You coming? Rin hesitated, shaking. I'm not a fighter. Aaron gave a quick, fierce smile. You don't have to be. You're smarter than any of them. I need your hands, not your gun. Something in his tone gave Rin courage. He nodded. All right, Captain. Let's go. They sprinted through the narrow corridors as explosions shook the ground. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Aaron led the way up a frozen stairwell toward the communications tower. Bodies of fallen rebels and council soldiers littered the path, the cost of resistance. When they reached the upper level, Rin stopped short. The huge glass window revealed the battle below, the frozen valley on fire. Rebel ships fought desperately against the Black Council destroyers. The sky burned red. Rin's voice was barely a whisper. So much death. All for me. Aaron turned sharply. No, for what you represent. They want to make you a symbol of fear. But today you'll be a symbol of freedom. Before Rin could reply, the door ahead exploded open. 3 council troopers stormed in, firing. Aaron pushed Rin behind a console and returned fire. Blue energy bolts cracked through the air. One soldier fell, another ducked behind a pillar. Aaron's shot hit a fuel canister, sending a burst of flame across the room. The last trooper tried to rush forward. Aaron met him halfway and slammed a fist into his helmet, sending him crashing to the ground. When it was over, the silence returned, short and sharp. Rin peeked from behind the console. Are you hurt? Aaron wiped the blood from his lip. I've had worse breakfast. They moved toward the main terminal. Rin began typing rapidly, his long fingers dancing over the alien keys. If I can bypass their jammer, I can restore the signal. But the Council's encryption is strong. Aaron stood guard by the window. Outside, flashes of light from the battle reflected in his eyes. Do it fast. We're running out of time. Minutes passed like hours. Rin's breathing quickened. His hands trembled, but his focus was sharp. Almost there. One more sequence. Suddenly, the screen flickered green. I got it, Rin cried. Signal restored. Aaron grinned. Good work. Now send the message. Rin nodded and pressed the command. Across the galaxy, every pirate station, every back channel, every outlaw frequency lit up with the same broadcast. Images of the Council's experiments, the slaves, the torture chambers, and the proof that the galactic law was nothing but a lie. The truth was finally free. But their victory was short-lived. A low rumble shook the tower. Aaron looked out the windows and froze. From the largest council ship in orbit, a beam of crimson light began to glow. Rin's voice trembled. "Captain, that's not a weapon I've seen before." Aaron's expression hardened. "That's because it's new, and they're about to use it." The beam fired, a massive energy wave cutting through the storm clouds straight toward the valley. The shock wave hit the base with a deafening roar. The walls cracked, ice shattered, and the ground split open beneath them. Rin screamed as he fell, but Aaron grabbed his arm just in time. "Hold on!" The floor gave way. They tumbled down into the lower tunnels, landing hard among debris and fire. Aaron groaned, trying to move. "Rin, you alive?" Rin coughed, his voice weak. "Yes, but the others." Aaron looked around. The upper levels were gone. Commander Lyra, the soldiers, the base, all buried under ice and flame. Only silence remained. He clenched his fists, jaw trembling with rage. They wiped them out. All of them. Rin crawled closer, tears in his eyes. Then what now? Aaron looked up at the smoke-filled tunnel. "Now, we make sure their sacrifice means something. We find that weapon and destroy it." Rin nodded slowly, wiping his tears. His fear was still there, but something new burned beside it. Determination. As the last fires flickered in the ruins of Eris Prime, 2 survivors walked into the darkness, carrying the weight of a rebellion that refused to die. The council thought they had crushed hope, but they had only made it stronger. The tunnels beneath Eris Prime were silent except for the distant drip of melting ice. The air was thick with smoke and ash, carrying the faint echo of the battle that had destroyed everything above. Captain Aaron Hale moved slowly through the darkness, his flashlight cutting narrow paths of light through the debris. Beside him walked Rin, limping slightly, his green skin bruised and dusty. The once proud alien cook now looked like a survivor of a nightmare, but there was fire in his silver eyes. "How far do these tunnels go?" Aaron asked quietly. Rin glanced around. "Deep. They connect to the old mining systems. My people built them decades ago before the council forced us out." Aaron nodded, his voice low. "Then we use them. The council thinks we're dead. Let's keep it that way." They walked for what felt like hours. The ground rumbled every so often, the sound of falling ice or maybe distant explosions above. The council's weapon had destroyed the base, but the entire planet seemed to be trembling from its power. Finally, they reached a massive cavern. In the middle stood an ancient structure, rusted machinery, half buried in ice but still humming faintly with life. Rin stared in disbelief. This is an old Tovar energy core. My ancestors built it to draw power from the planet's storms." Aaron stepped closer, brushing frost off the controls. "Can it still work?" Rin hesitated. "Maybe, but why?" Aaron turned toward him, his face shadowed by the flickering light. "Because that weapon they fired, and it's not just a cannon. It's powered by something alive. I saw the energy signature in the blast. They're using living cores, and maybe even your people ought to power it." Rin's eyes widened. "They turned Tovar into weapons?" Aaron nodded grimly. "If we can overload this old core, we can trace their power signal back to the ship and destroy it." Rin's hands trembled. "But that would kill you. You'd have to stay here to trigger it." Aaron smiled faintly. "I've been running from death for too long. Maybe it's time I make peace with it." Rin shook his head violently. "No, you can't leave me again." Aaron placed a hand on his shoulder. "Listen, Rin. You're not the weak cook I met on Haven 9 anymore. You've survived everything the galaxy threw at you. You have something to give this universe that I can't. Hope." Rin swallowed hard, his voice breaking. "I can't do this without you." Aaron smiled. "You can. You just don't know it yet." As they worked, the lights flickered from red to white. Rin connected power lines while Aaron recalibrated the old systems. The ancient machinery groaned like a sleeping giant waking up. Outside the cavern, the storm began to change. Winds swirling faster, lightning striking in strange patterns. From the surface above, the Council's command ship scanned the area. Inside, Commander Voss stood before a glowing monitor. The radar picked up faint energy spikes below the surface. "Impossible," he muttered. "They're still alive. Orders, sir?" one of his officers asked. Voss smirked coldly. "Then let's end it properly. Prepare the main weapon for a second strike." The crew scrambled, unaware that deep below, Aaron and Rin were already turning the planet itself into a trap. The control room inside the cavern lit up brighter now. Rin's voice trembled as he read the data. The overload sequence is ready. Once I press this, the energy will climb into the atmosphere. It will reach their weapon core in orbit. Aaron took a deep breath. Then that's our shot. He looked at the small locket hanging around his neck. The last photo of his old war team. They died for peace. I'll die making sure it means something. He turned to Rin. When I give the signal, you run to the escape tunnel and launch the emergency pod. Don't look back. Rin gripped his hand tightly. If this works, the galaxy will finally see what the Council really is. Aaron smiled, tired but proud. Then make sure they never forget it. Above, the Council ship powered up its weapon again. Red energy pulsed across its hull like veins of fire. Commander Voss stared at the targeting screen, unaware of the storm forming below. Suddenly, lightning struck the ship's outer shields. Once, twice, then 1,000 times over. The storms of Eris Prime had gone wild. What's happening? The officer shouted. Voss's eyes widened. It's feeding back. The planet's energy. Before he could finish, the power levels spiked beyond control. In the cavern below, Aaron smiled faintly as the lights around him began to glow blinding white. The core screamed like thunder. He closed his eyes and whispered, "For them, for all of us." The explosion was silent in space when a burst of light brighter than a star. The Council's ship disintegrated, its weapon burning itself apart. Every broadcast tower in the system captured the explosion, and with it, the message Rin had transmitted, the truth of the Council's crimes and Aaron Hale's final stand. Hours later, Rin awoke in a life pod drifting above the shattered planet. The debris of the Council fleet floated around him, glowing softly in the starlight. His chest ached, his hands shook, but he was alive. He looked down at Eris Prime and now calm, no longer storming, then whispered, "Thank you, Captain." When the rescue ships from the free systems arrived days later, Rin stepped out of the pod as something new, not a slave, not a fugitive, but a symbol. News spread across the stars, the story of one human who stood against an empire, the man who gave his life to save a friend. The galaxy would remember his name, Aaron Hale, the human who made the Council fall. And as Rin looked up at the stars, he promised quietly, "Your fight isn't over, Captain. I'll carry it from here." In the darkness of space, one voice had become a chorus, one act of kindness had become a revolution, and from that day on, the galaxy would never be the same again.